Solar power is experiencing something absolutely incredible at the moment. Check out this chart. The world went from just 1 gigawatt of solar capacity in the year 2000 to hitting 1 terawatt by 2022. That's a 1,000-fold increase in just over 2 decades. But then in only 3 years, we're on track to double that again, reaching 2 terawatts of total solar capacity by 2025. To put that in perspective, 2 terawatts could power approximately 92 million American homes. And this trend isn't slowing down just yet. 2 major factors are driving this boom. First, solar is now cheaper to produce than it's ever been. The cost has dropped over 99% since the 1970s, making solar one of the most affordable energy sources available today. Second, battery technology has advanced dramatically, meaning we can now store that solar energy for use during peak demand hours, especially in the evening when the sun's not shining. But there's a challenge with all this new solar capacity that California is facing head-on. Where exactly are we going to put all these solar panels? Here in California, the obvious answer might seem like the sunny Central Valley. There's plenty of flat, open land perfect for solar farms. But here's the problem. The Central Valley is one of America's most productive agricultural regions. It produces roughly 25% of the nation's food supply. You can't just cover that irreplaceable farmland with solar panels. So how do we balance our need for clean, renewable energy with our need to keep growing food? And what does this have to do with your home solar system? Well, the answer is taking shape right now in California's agricultural heartland, and the innovations being tested there are directly influencing how residential solar is evolving, including the systems we design and install for homeowners. Hey everyone, welcome back to IntegrateSun. Before we talk about the solar panels themselves, we need to understand California's water infrastructure. Most of California's water originates in the Sierra Nevada mountains. Every spring, that mountain snowpack melts and flows into reservoirs, then travels through an extensive network of man-made canals, we're talking thousands of miles, to reach homes, businesses, and farms throughout the state. But as that water flows through the hot Central Valley during summer months, billions of gallons are lost to evaporation. The sun's radiant heat turns surface water into vapor, and the wind carries it away. In a state where water is already a precious and increasingly scarce resource, that's a massive problem. Droughts are becoming more frequent and severe, and every gallon counts. So here's where solar panels enter the picture in a completely unexpected way. This is Project Nexus, and the concept is beautifully simple. Cover California's irrigation canals with solar panels to simultaneously generate clean electricity and prevent water from evaporating in the sun. You've probably seen a similar concept in parking lots. Those solar canopies over cars that keep vehicles from baking in the sun while generating power. This is the same principle, just applied to water infrastructure. Research from UC Merced estimates that if California covered all 4,000 miles of its major canal systems with solar panels, the state could save up to 63 billion gallons of water annually. 63 billion gallons. That's enough water to supply millions of households or irrigate tens of thousands of acres of farmland. Now, this isn't a completely new idea. India actually built the world's first solar canal prototype back in 2014, proving the concept could work. But what California is doing is figuring out how to implement this at massive scale, across an entire state's infrastructure. So, we've talked about the water savings, but let's talk about the energy production potential. According to the research, covering all of California's major canals with solar could generate approximately 13 gigawatts of clean electricity. To put that in context, that's enough clean energy to power every home in San Francisco and San Diego combined, roughly 2.5 million households, while simultaneously conserving enough water for those same communities. Now you might be thinking, that's great for California's infrastructure, but how does this affect my home solar system? Here's the connection. When utilities generate more clean energy from projects like this, it stabilizes the grid, which means your home solar system can operate more efficiently. Plus, the engineering innovations being tested here, like specialized mounting systems, heat management, and smart monitoring, are being adapted for residential installations. Before California covers all 4,000 miles of canals with solar, they're testing the concept with 2 different prototype designs. There's the narrow span design, which covers a 30-foot wide section of canal with solar arrays on both sides. And then there's the wide span design, which tackles a much bigger challenge, covering a section that's 130 feet wide. Both prototypes are located in California's Central Valley, where summer temperatures regularly exceed 100 degrees. Perfect conditions for testing how well these systems perform under extreme heat while also measuring how much water they actually save. These prototypes are surrounded by some of the most productive agricultural land in America. We're talking almond orchards, vineyards, vegetable fields. This region feeds millions of people. the water conservation from solar canals could irrigate approximately 50,000 acres of farmland. That's land that can keep producing food instead of having to be converted to solar farms.
So just like California is finding ways to generate power without sacrificing agriculture, you can install solar on your home without sacrificing your yard, your aesthetics, or your property value. So if dual-use solar is such a great idea, why don't we see it everywhere? Well, the main reason is cost and complexity.
Those massive ground-mounted solar farms you see in the desert are cheaper and simpler to install. They're basically just metal racks holding panels at an angle on flat land. Relatively straightforward engineering, but when you're covering water infrastructure or integrating solar into existing built environments, the engineering gets more complex. Every canal section is different. You have to account for water access, maintenance requirements, wind loads, and site-specific conditions. It's much more work than installing one big solar farm in the desert. But here's the advantage. Solar canals require more customization than desert solar farms, sure, but you can install thousands of panels in each project without consuming any additional land. You're using infrastructure that already exists. The same principle applies to residential solar. Yes, rooftop solar requires custom design for your specific home. Your roof pitch, your electrical panel, your energy usage patterns. But you're generating clean power without using any additional property. Your roof is just sitting there anyway. And that customization is exactly what we do at IntegrateSun. Every home is different, so every solar system should be too. Covering California's canals with solar doesn't magically solve all our energy challenges, but it demonstrates how creative we can be with solar deployment. And it's not the only innovative approach being tested. Some farms are experimenting with agrivoltaics, a fancy term that just means raising solar panels above crops, so both can exist in the same space. This works especially well for shade-tolerant crops like leafy greens, root vegetables, and certain berries. The partial shade actually creates better growing conditions than full sun. China has become a global leader in agrivoltaics, with massive solar farms built over fields of crops like goji berries, generating power and food simultaneously. Another innovative approach is floating solar, installing panels directly on the water surface of reservoirs, lakes, and other bodies of water. The principle is similar to solar canals. The shade reduces evaporation from the reservoir, and the water keeps the panels cooler, which actually improves their efficiency. Countries around the world are deploying floating solar on everything from small ponds to massive reservoirs, and the technology is proving highly effective. All of these innovative approaches come with unique design challenges that engineers are actively solving. Ideally, you'd want panels as close to the water as possible to maximize shade and evaporation prevention. But there's a practical problem. Water districts need regular access to clean out sediment, algae, and vegetation that accumulates in canals. If panels were right on the water surface, maintenance would be nearly impossible. So engineers are developing new designs, including retractable systems that can slide panels aside when maintenance is needed, then extend them back over the water afterward. Solar panels themselves are surprisingly durable, by the way. Quality panels typically last 30 to 35 years and are engineered to withstand 1-inch hail traveling at 50 miles per hour and winds of similar speed. Project Nexus isn't the only solar over-canal project in the United States. In Arizona, the Gila River Indian community has installed solar canopies over their canal system, combining modern technology with water conservation. With multiple solar canal projects now operational across the United States, engineers can test designs in different climates and conditions, refine their approaches, and accelerate innovation across the industry. What's exciting about projects like solar canals, agrivoltaics, and floating solar is that they show how solar can solve multiple problems at once. And that multi-benefit thinking applies to residential solar too. When you install solar on your home, you're not just generating clean power, you're reducing your electric bills, increasing your property value, gaining energy independence, and potentially adding battery backup for outages. At IntegrateSun, we stay on top of these innovations because they help us design better systems for homeowners. And if you haven't already, check out our video on how to decide which solar panel to buy. We break down what actually matters when choosing panels for your home, including all the latest efficiency improvements coming from research like this. Thanks for watching. See you in the next one.